My singing made sweet Jesus run away. I thought I saw them on the hill the other day. And when I opened up my eyes and singing, pray, he ran away. Ran away, far away. My singing made sweet Jesus run away. Oh man. Welcome. Hello, everybody. Good to see you in here. Welcome to the JB Show on RBN on a Sunday afternoon. Easy like Sunday morning. It is November 13th, 2022. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. To let you guys know that the JB Show streams every single Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys can catch me there, as well as on my own channel called the JB Font Channel. So you guys can catch me on there on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, and maybe even some later streams throughout the week. Also, thank you to everyone who is a Patreon member, as well as anybody who sends any mutual aid my way. I deeply appreciate that as well. If you haven't liked the stream, I think you're going to have a reasons to like it. Make sure to do that if you already like our content so far. So, I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat. We're going to get to the discussion. I'm so glad to have every single one of you here. Yes, you, and you. Ready to go. All right. So, all right. Eric Gray is up in the chat saying, "Sup, y'all?" And socialism has definitely not peaked at all, as options such as eco-socialism haven't been discussed as much as they should be. Interesting. Very interesting take. Thank you so much for that, Eric Gray. We also have Somniferous says, "It's not peaked until we have full-blown communism, aka the Star Trek future." I would love a Star Trek future. I would love it. Like, that's something that I'm looking forward to. I mean, we don't have to worry necessarily about hunger because that's gone. Homelessness is gone. Everybody has health care. And then we're actually working on ourselves as a species and as a planet. And then we raise things to the point where we just advance ourselves as human beings. I mean, I think that'll be great, you know. And we just focus on exploration and making our world better. I mean, Gene Roddenberry tapped into something wonderful there. And I'm not even a Trekkie, right? I'm not even a big Star Trek fan. I didn't start liking Star Trek until the J.J. Abrams movie came out. I think it was in 2009 with Chris Pine as Kirk. I didn't even pay attention to it. If you ask me if I watched the old school Star Trek or the Next Generation, I'd be like, no, I did not. I still don't watch the Star Trek shows, but I do think that the concept is very, very awesome. Gene is in the chat. Hello, Gene. So good to see you, Gene. John, Blue Marvel himself. All right, good to see you as well. Terry Connolly is also in the chat saying hello, bam. Ooh, what was in that tea? Eric Gray says, "A musical number from JB. This is the content we are here for." Yay. All right. Thanks, Gene. Gene says, "This is happening tomorrow. Up to 2,000 truck drivers convoying into New York City to shut down Fox News to protest their condition." Ooh. See, here's the thing. I love when workers show up and force the news on the media that they don't want to talk about. I love that. I love that. Do it to Fox, MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post. Do it to all of them. Like, just park your trucks and just do what you need to do, and let make it so that nobody can deny that you're trying to wield your power as workers. That's what it's all about. That's the stuff I clap for. Thank you for that, Gene. Always coming in with receipts and always coming in with the info. Thank you. All right. Matt says, church with JB. Let's go, yo, yo. All right. Mika says, why not DC? I don't know. Good to see you, though. Luis says, good day. Socialism will only peak after it happens, not before. Thank you very much for that as well. Ryan W says, I agree, but I would argue there are very few differences between eco-socialism and socialism if they are both practiced properly. That is an interesting discussion that I actually would like to see. That would be a very nuanced discussion between a Marxist Leninist and an eco-socialist. Like, there's got to be a ton of overlap. So I wonder what the nuances about their differences would be. Maybe I should have like a, not a debate, but more just like a very nuanced discussion between, because there's so much overlap that it's like, I think it'll be more like a, yeah, I agree, yeah, I agree, yeah, I agree, yeah, I agree, I agree, I agree. And then it's like, well, and it's like, well, we agree, disagree on this small little thing. That's okay. That's how I see it happening. Like, maybe I can get some people from like Midwestern Marx, because I definitely know they're Marxist Leninists over there, and then get some eco-socialists that are maybe part of the Green Party or something like that. And then they can talk about, I just don't see that much of an argument ever happening, to be honest with you. I don't see much contention at all. I think it's going to be just like a really good faith camaraderie type of conversation. I actually would like to see that. So that'd be great. Angela says, hi, JB. Hi, everyone. Hi, Angela. All right. We have Black Uni Griffin says, probably it hasn't peaked. Oh, excuse me. Due to branding in the social media rigging suppression. That's also a really good point as well. A lot of times, you have a lot of people that are still under the guise of socialism bad, and it's like, well, what makes it bad? And then a lot of people don't really know what socialism is bad, or if they think it's bad, in describing how bad socialism is, they start describing capitalism. And so then it's like, well, no, that's capitalism. If you look at everything that's you're complaining about socialism, look in this country, or especially a lot of countries in the West, that's capitalism. But then they go, oh no, it's not strong, it's not strictly capitalism. It's it's a mixed economy. So we have emphasis on capitalist parts and we have socialist parts. And it's like, not really. Because the socialist part is the socialism for the rich, meaning that the means of production are actually owned and operated by a small few at the top. Therefore, the rugged individualism that MLK was talking about, the capitalism that he was speaking about, is actually really on the brunt of all of us who are below, the workers, the proletariat. So, yeah, capitalism actually is what people describe when they're complaining about socialism. Giannis says, I am not surprised socialism hasn't peaked, but at least I'm open about the idea of it. Thank you so much. Nick is in his house. So good to see you. Hey, Nick, by the way, if you want to jump in on this, feel free. You got access. You can jump in. Just saying, if you want to, because I like to be surrounded by really brilliant people. You know. Also, by the way, shout out to Zoya, because Zoya has been giving me some receipts. Ooh, Zoya is love, Zoya is life, and Zoya. Look, I call her Queen Omega because Z is Omega. Anyway, but still, yeah. Shout out to you, Zoya. All right, we have Jamon 93 says, LOL, Star Trek is not so good on that, to be honest. Maybe. I still haven't I haven't really studied it, so I'm not like I said, I'm not a Trekkie, I'm not a fan like that. So, I could be wrong on some aspects. So, of course. All right. Who else is up in the chizat? All right. Zach Davis says, "Hello, JB. How are you, my friend? I'm okay. I'm good. Um, I'm having tea. It's good tea. I made it with lots of lemon. Lots of lemon equals lots of love, people. You got to look, if your tea doesn't have that nice strong lemon taste and that that in it, I don't want it. Mm. It's so good. Okay. Sorry, I had to do that. All right. Savvy Sav is in the chat saying, JB, by the way, Savvy, I'm looking at your picture. Your hair looks gorgeous, by the way. Just wanted to say that. Also, who else is in the chat? Who I didn't get to say hello to yet. Oh man, you guys are already hang on. Oh yeah, you're gonna get the Blue Marble pick? Yeah. Adam Brashear, baby. He's one of the most powerful heroes in the Marvel universe, the Marvel comic book universe. He is super strong, and he's a black dude. Blue Marvel is, from what I heard about him, I haven't even researched him, but yeah, I'm getting into it more though. All right, Natari, yeah, love you too. Good to see you. Bad Cookies is in the chat. Says, has socialism peaked? No, JB. Socialism never got a fair chance to succeed. Has been sabotaged since the first time it flexed its power with the Socialist Party. Interesting. Harry Christopher is in the chat saying, what's up, my fellow leftists? Hello, Harry. All right. Let me go over a couple more before I move on so I can get started on this story. Nick is in the chat saying, a worker for a moment. Good to see you, Nick, in the chat. All right. Rick Solis, so good to see you as well. All right. Did I say hello, you creative experiments? Hello. USA got to skip socialism and get to communism quick, or else World War III. Well, yeah. You're right. Cape Socialist is in the chat saying, hey, all. Hello, Cape Socialist. All right. Sam Sampson says, I love tea from UK here. I started getting into tea earlier this year. I don't know what happened. Something in my brain just switched, and I was just like, I want some tea. So yeah, I've been drinking tea, for the most part for the last few months actually. So yeah, I usually don't drink hot drinks, but now I just started. It's crazy, but I welcome it. John says at Revolutionary Blackout, socialism is the transition to communism. The original definition of communism was actually a stateless, classless, moneyless society. Socialism is the transition. Absolutely correct. It's just like the whole phrase, all someone said, I think it was Second Thought, JT, he gave a great explanation. He said, all communists are socialists, but not all socialists are communists. And I am in a transition ideologically where I definitely am a socialist, but now I'm starting to say I'm picking up more elements of communism in my ideology. So I'm evolving in that aspect. I'm moving further to the left. My transition to the left isn't finished, and so I'm learning more. So, and part of it also happens to be due to reading. So that also helps too. So Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it and welcome. And oh, Sam is saying welcome. From the UK. Good to see you. Uh, YepX is in here saying, "Hey JB, glad to see RB in the community." Dunking on my look. Okay. The goal isn't necessarily to dunk on, even though it did happen. The goal was never to do that. The thing is to show where the transgression lies, that a transgression has been made, to correct that transgression, and to see the point that we were making, and look at the facts how they're laid out, and move on. Unfortunately, because you have some people who they don't want to concede because because they're so stuck on Democrat good, anything outside of that is bad, including going to the left and actually helping people in a tangible way outside of the scope of the Democratic Party, then it's almost like a haywire going on. Like, no, 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 I'm right. And it's like, but here's the facts how they laid out. You also called people like RBM member Sabi and Colin of INN, who is a friend of RBN, dipshits. And then on top of that, there is a trope, a racist trope of calling black people stupid or idiotic, or there's this racist trope of always calling into question the intelligence of black people throughout history. And some people will be like, well, Mike Figueredo isn't exactly white. He might be white. He might be Latino, or, he's white passing or white. Because if a police officer stops him, they're going to see him as white. So with that being said, you did that and you were wrong on the facts and the way they bear it out. And then you doubled down on it. And I spoke about this with Colin yesterday on my channel. And the thing is that you can't do that, bro. If you're going to be for just what the truth is and how the facts lay out, then you have to just go with the truth and how the facts lay out. And I listened to the portion on bad faith with Brianna Joy Gray as she was speaking to the gentleman who, basically is a lawyer that was talking about the whole issue regarding the student debt cancellation. And even he was like, I'm afraid this might be just a ploy to get people to the polls. And then afterwards, they're just going to let it procedurally get, tossed into the wind. And that was 2 months ago. And yet, it seems like he doesn't want to presume that Biden would do that, even though it is well documented that Joe Biden is a far right-wing extremist that is willing to say he loves you in the morning and sells you out in the evening. And he, like his cohorts within the Democratic Party, and I include the progressives as well, that they really actually don't care. See, here's the thing about the Democratic Party, and I don't mean to go on a rant about this, but the Democratic Party is a fundraising corporation. They may not be a corporation by legal means, but they are a corporation nonetheless, because their goal is just to raise funds. And then how do they get you to get the money out your pocket? Oh, The Republican Party, they're going to take away your rights. Roe v. Wade is on the line. Oh, we're going to cancel your student debt. So guess what? That's on the line. Oh, democracy is on the line. And the thing is that number one, what democracy? Number two, Roe v. Wade has been a Democratic fundraising tool for at least 50 years. They don't want to codify it because codifying it would be a cure to a societal problem. And what do we learn? There's no money in curing people because once they're cured, they don't come back, right? But the funny thing is, in a political sense, if you actually cured it, people would come back. But guess what? They wouldn't be able to make as much money off of it. And on top of it, it doesn't keep the apparatus in place for the oligarchs at the top. So because they serve the oligarchs at the top, and they just want to keep their money rolling in so they can stay in office and have these cushy jobs, then guess what? They sell you out. They lie to you. You get hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, played. So that's how it works. That's how it happens. And so that's why a lot of us were like, we told you this would happen. This is why people like Colin and Savvy were correct in saying we told you this would happen, because you wouldn't listen to us. And then instead of saying, you know what, you guys were right, I got to concede, this is how it happened. Instead, you're dipshits. And no, this isn't how it happened. Biden was right the entire time. It's just Trump, orange man bad, Trump appointee. Even though even liberal or progressive judges would probably have thrown it out anyway, because they would rule it unconstitutional as well, because of the way the process works out. So the thing is that it's like, okay, so this has to be called out, as well as the racism or microaggressions or covert racism that can happen within white progressive spaces, especially against us black people on the left. And this is why it has to be called out. Because the thing is that if we are to come together and truly move together in a meaningful way, this has to be purged. The same way that the young patriots had to purge their hidden and covert racism and microaggressions in order to unite with the Black Panther Party to create the Rainbow Coalition, the exact same thing has to happen in order for us to truly come together as a coalition and to move forward. That's how it has to happen. The problem is that some are refusing to do that, unfortunately, because it ruins the gravy train. Because to stay on the algorithm for the Democratic Party basically means that it is more lucrative for you financially to stay there. That's what it means. And so you get to stay on that corporate algorithm, the TYT algorithm. And then you get to, sit on the fence as the revisionist instead of a revolutionary or somebody who actually wants to change the system from the foundation on up. And so it has to be called out. Because the thing is that this system was never made for us. And I can keep going on and on, but that's the way it is. And thank you, YepX, for your comment. So got to move on. One of the things that I want to talk about is food. Now, it's no surprise to y'all that I'm a fluffy man, right? I am fluffy and I like food. But I've also been food insecure. I know, right? JB food insecure. Yeah, I've been food insecure. And there's a lot of insecurity in the world that we've known for years. And kind of hopping on the racist tropes that we've been seeing, I want you all to do me a favor. If you're on your computer, right, or once this stream is over, I want you guys to go on Google. Go on Google, type in the word hunger. Just hunger. Go on an image search. I want you to tell me what's the primary race of everybody in that image search. And excuse me. And then I want you to ask yourself, sorry, I'm allergic to all the bullshit that's been going on. I want you guys to ask yourself, why in the hell is it always melanin abundant people that are in these image searches when it comes to hunger? And why are these people the ones that are always so hungry? Why is it that these people from these nations are always hungry? And this is the primary reason why I created the thumbnail the way I did. What did I do? I put a hungry white kid on the thumbnail. By the way, that was the only hungry white kid that I actually saw in the search. That was it. Right? Even though there are thousands of hungry white children, you can go to Appalachia, you can go to the poor white neighborhoods and places like Wisconsin and Illinois and New Jersey and California. You can go anywhere. There are shit tons of hungry white people out there, but you never see their pictures. But if you look up hunger, you'll see a whole lot of hungry black people. That's something to think about. Anyway, so I'm going to share my screen really quick. And there has been a report that came out recently. Of course, we are at the World Socialist website. Great resource. If you guys have not actually subscribed to World Socialist website, go to it's wsws.org and then just bookmark it for a lot of your news. This is a wonderful site. But this is a report. This is by Kate Randall. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'm going to cover some topics of it. Of course, this is also linked in the description below. But this title says, UN report, record food import prices threaten food insecurity for hundreds of millions worldwide. So it starts off saying the United Nations is warning of substantial risk to food security around the world as soaring food prices place pressure, particularly on poor countries. The only thing I would correct is say particularly on exploited countries, because like Parenti said, no country's actually poor. It's just they're overly exploited. But anyway, that's just a little nitpick of mine. But credit to the author of this piece. Still great. Poor countries to secure food supplies. Hundreds of millions face severe hunger worldwide as soaring prices on food and fertilizer are set to rise to record levels in 2022. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization's Food Outlook report released Friday estimates that a global food import bill, the price countries spend on foodstuffs, including cereals, oil crops, sugar, meat, dairy, and fish, will rise to an all-time high of $1.94 trillion in 2022, up 10% from last year. This is the important point. This new forecast, making an all-time high, is due to the depreciating values of currencies against the US dollar, making the main currency of exchange on international markets, as well as the UN NATO proxy war in Ukraine. So we're literally damaging the world partially because of this proxy war. It says the report also cites climate variability and geopolitical tensions as the biggest factors contributing to food security concerns. Worryingly, many economically vulnerable countries are paying more while receiving less food. I want to break this part down. It says climate variability and geopolitical tensions as the biggest factors contributing to food security concerns. Well, what in the world could be the reason for climate variability, especially if the climate variability is more of a volatile climate that we are experiencing outside of the natural scope of how the climate shifts and has an ebb and flow? Well, could it be because of climate change due to human involvement? And then the geopolitical tensions. What are geopolitical tensions that you're talking about? Well, could it be that Western hegemony is being forced upon the rest of the world, especially the global South? Could it be that we have this proxy wars that are continuously going on in places not just Ukraine, but also in Yemen that's being perpetuated by Saudi Arabia with use of the weapons that are manufactured by U.S. corporations and the military industrial complex? Could it be the United States actually doing, imperialist coups and imperialist actions against other countries in order to take their resources so that they can enrich the oligarchs here in the United States? Could it be that? Could it be that the primary source of this happening could be the influence of creating more profits for the oligarchs, the oppressor class in the West, aka capitalism? Could it be that? Anyone? It also continues, says, although not specifically mentioned in your report, the criminal response of the governments to the COVID-19 pandemic, fueling inflation, the food supply chain, and currency crises have been a major factor in exacerbating the food crisis and its attendant poverty and hunger. By the way, with poverty and hunger on the rise, that also increases crime, by the way. So if you're going to see poverty and hunger on the rise, expect for crime rates around the world to also go up too. Because because as poverty as hunger and poverty go up, crime also goes up at a commensurate rate. Because people commit crimes of opportunity and desperation. And then in that crime of opportunity and desperation, it also leads to a domino effect that also affects people in a negative way, that also can contribute to other different types of crime that are done against other human beings or our environment. With that being said, that when that happens, then people will want to install more law and order regimes within the governments, including here in the United States, while not realizing that the crime that is happening is really due to people being impoverished and hungry and houseless, homeless within their nations. And then some of these crimes that will start happening, then it starts happening in other countries. And then the United States, that wants to be the police of the world, ends up going, well, we need to bring more democracy to this nation. democracy, meaning to go over to abroad to other countries to really take them and strip them of their resources because they actually don't want to actually pay for these resources in a reasonable and fair way. And plus, they just want to change out the regime, even though the person, not change out the regime, but change out the government because the actual person that was democratically elected actually wants to do more working class solutions for the people, and they really don't like that, so they just actually want to steal the resources, and if they can't steal it, then they get it for extremely cheap. Hi, welcome to RB, and it's so good to see you. If you're new, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. We tell the truth. Anywho, so of course, it says here, while the world wheat production is forecast to reach record 784 million tons over the coming year, bolstered mainly by substantial harvest recoveries in Canada and Russia, pushing global wheat inventories to record levels. These accumulations are expected mainly in China and Russia, while stocks are predicted to decline by 8% in the rest of the world. Poor countries will feel the strain of these increased agricultural import costs most severely, with lower application of fertilizer taking place, further lowering productivity and total output of foodstuffs. The UN FAO said that high world fertilizer prices are likely to extend to 2023, with negative repercussions for global agriculture output and food security. Now, this isn't just the rest of the world. This is also here in the United States. I mean, and by United States, meaning we make enough food in this country. It's more of a distribution problem that we have. We actually do make enough food for the entire world. Have you guys ever visited the Dunkin' Donuts at closing time? If you haven't, go there during closing time and watch as the employees take out the bags of donuts that haven't been eaten, that haven't been touched, and watch them toss them in the garbage. Go to some of these restaurants and go to some of these grocery stores as they throw good food away and then they lock up their garbage cans so that poor people and people who are hungry can't access it. See, the problem isn't necessarily we don't make enough food. We do. It's just a priority problem. And then we have a country, well, really, mostly a world that condemns people for not having enough food, even though it's a systemic problem instead of a individual problem. Now, Mouse, what are you doing? Okay. Let me go here. Okay. Here's some facts that was shared with me that I want to get to. And thanks and shout out again to Zoya as well. This is from Buck Rogers 23. It says vulnerability is not spread equally. Egypt, Turkey, Indonesia, and Bangladesh are the top importers of wheat from Russia and Ukraine. Almost 50 nations, including some of the world's poorest countries, depend on those two sources for more than 30% of their wheat needs. these countries will need to go elsewhere to meet their needs. That's where the drought in America and high prices could really start to bite. Afghanistan, Syria, and Ethiopia are also highly susceptible to supply shocks. And the thing is that what the what U.S. hegemony means is that we're literally condemning the rest of the world and these overly exploited countries to starvation. That's what we're literally doing. We're condemning them to starvation, and for the sake of having more power over the rest of the world. Let us continue. This person called himself Malcolm X. That's a whole another issue. But they say Russia, even with Turkey's participation, is ready to provide the poorest countries with up to 500,000 tons of wheat free of charge in the next 4 months. This was stated by the Russian Minister of Agriculture, Dmitry Patrushev. And so it's crazy how people are talking about Russia bad when it's like, wait a minute, what has the United States done? Like, has the United States actually did stuff like this? Hang on. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. I don't see the United States doing that. Now, I'm not doing this as a Putin good, um, Biden bad type of thing. I think both Putin and Biden are bad. However, I do think that Biden is actually worse than Putin. I said what I said. Who's continuing the wars? Who's continuing to keep the military bases open around the world? Who is literally, bombing other countries? I mean, and people will be like, well, Putin's in Ukraine. It's like, yeah, but why is Putin in Ukraine? Why is Putin doing what he's doing? Now, I agree that, Ukraine and Russia should both be trying to come to peace negotiations, because the thing is that this is a complete and utter bullshit. But the United States, and it has been pushing, NATO basically like like it's its own personal vehicle onto the borders of Russia to actually have his missiles pointed at Russia. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I honestly think this is the United States ploy in order to put a puppet government into Russia so that the United States can actually take all the resources out of Russia, because the United States wants to own everything. And the fact that Putin is just another capitalist that is actually resistant to the United States hegemony. The United States is like, oh, what the fuck do we do? Well, I guess we just gonna have to push against Russia and finally try to take over Russia. But Putin's like, hell no, no, you don't. This is my territory, motherfuckers. You guys aren't coming on here. And the thing is that if the United, and really the purpose of NATO, if correct me if I'm wrong, was really to take out the former Soviet Union. Well, the former Soviet Union does no longer exist, and communism in Russia has been over for at least 30 years. Why in the fuck does NATO still exist? Could it be that NATO is really just a bully over the world so that the United States can increase its hegemony over the world, so that it can actually rule the world by means of an iron fist, so that it can have and rule over everything, so that people are ruled over by a small minority of people who want to just have everything to themselves? Did I just say everything that is really that they don't want you to? Hi, welcome to RBN. Have you subscribed yet? Hit it. Let's continue. This is just golden. Um. Oh, wait. Don't scroll too fast. Hang on. Let's share set screen. Let's share it. Oh, set screen. Okay. Sorry. Made your ears bleed with that. Okay, good. I'm making sure that the screen's big enough. So this is out of Reuters. Oh God, these damn ads. It says Russia is ready to supply up to 500 tons of grain to poorest countries. TASS reports. This is Russia's ready to supply up to 500 tons of grain to poor countries over the next 4 months with assistance from Turkey. TASS new agency cited Agriculture Ministry Dmitry Patrushev. So Russia said on Friday only 3% of food exported under a union broker deal to release grain from blockade Ukrainian ports has gone to poorest countries, with Western countries accounting for half of all shipments. Since Russia and Ukraine signed a UN backed Black Sea Grain Initiative in Turkey on July 22nd, several million tons of corn, wheat, sunflower products, barley, rapeseed, and soya, not Zoya, soya, have been exported from Ukraine. So there's a lot going on right now, especially when it comes to, the exporting of foodstuffs and goods to these countries, even including for free. How much of that, is the United States doing? I mean, this really is just showing, how terrible the United States is when it comes to actually providing for the world, because it really is for it's just like, oh my God, it's like a rule of the world, through vinegar instead of helping the world via providing honey. You know what I mean? It's just like, for instance, let's juxtapose this with countries like China that did the Belt and Road Initiative, and right now I think it was a report that said that China is forgiving the debt of, I think, 7 African countries. They're forgiving billions of dollars in debt, even though China came in and helped build the infrastructure, and they loan this money to Africa. They're forgiving the loans. They're like, nah, it's okay. You don't need to pay us back. And so, is that imperialism? No. That sounds more like solidarity to me. And so the United States won't do that because it's about domination, right? Hell, I mean, let's go here. Let me see. This is a screenshot. It says Iran is aiming to become the number one purchaser of Russia's grain. The Iranian ambassador to Russia, Kazem Jalali. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at some of these names. I need somebody to tell it to me so I can pronounce it correctly. But announced on Friday, stating that the country is currently the second top purchaser of Russian commodity. In a statement made from the Made in Russia forum, the top diplomat said, "We provide our people with Russian grain wasn't sorry provide our people with Russian grain wasn't the case in the past. Since 2021, the producers of grain acquisitions and changing inside Iran. Last year, I believe we were the second place in our purchases from Russia. Next year, we will, I think, be number one. So many US, EU sanctioned and poor countries would see millions die without Russian wheat exports. Russian wheat prices drive down wheat costs globally for a long time. You know what's sad is that um, is that Russia is literally doing more for poor countries than the United States could. Sorry, got an itch. That's sad. That's really sad. While the United States exports military intervention to place dominance on the world, you got Russia literally going in to feed these poor countries. And they're trying to get rid of Nazis in Ukraine. Oh my God. How in the hell are you gonna allow Putin to go to your left? How in the hell are you gonna do that? Biden is literally letting Putin run to his left. That's sad, bro. That is sad. Golly. I'm telling you. Don't get me wrong, Putin is bad, but Biden is literally exporting death and destruction, while Putin is at least feeding people. Holy cannoli. If we're in the same vein as food. Holy cannoli. So, this one more. This is a Soviet media portrayal of the United States. It's going to be interesting. Let me share my screen one more time. While we're at it, we need to get our the imperialist foot off the neck of Cuba, by the way. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Our TV can always be trusted. I would never trust American TV, all those channels and different programs.
In recent years, the Soviet media has said much about the American way of life, and its portrait of America is a dark one. It is designed to convince the Soviet people that our social system is anything but desirable. It emphasizes violence, drug abuse, unemployment, and overall exploitation of the American people by the government. Since the average Soviet citizen has no alternative source of information about the United States, the Soviet version is probably accepted at face value. The Soviet people, however, seem to be curious about America and impressed by its material success. Last summer, Pravda published a lengthy article entitled Incurable Disease, which dealt with U.S. unemployment and bank failures. About the same time, Moscow was saying that there are 40 million Americans who are literally starving, while a select group of capitalists continues to get richer.
Yes!
Moscow television celebrated the 4th of July last year by assuring viewers that America is the quintessence of an unjust capitalist system that keeps millions of families living below the official poverty line.
Also true.
The unemployed are described as having been deprived of the right to work, while Moscow television shows film of locked factory gates and people being evicted from their homes.
That's also true.
The message in all this is that the capitalist system in America is unfair and is, in fact, a failure at providing for basic human needs or maintaining continued national growth.
Bingo!
This broadly distorted statement is aimed at convincing the Soviet people that Soviet communism works much better by providing economic security for them.
Well,
The U.S. economy, as described by the Soviet media, is being driven by raging militarism. Defense spending is reported to be the cause of unemployment in civilian industries and also the cause of the huge federal deficit. The Soviet Defense Ministry newspaper Red Star says that American young people are receiving militarist brainwashing from films like Rambo. Also included as malicious and distorted are Telephone, a film about a KGB assassin on the job in the U.S., and Red Dawn, which depicts an invasion of Colorado by Cuban and Soviet troops.
Ooh. Oh. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. That gave me the Holy Ghost. Where's the lie? Where is the lie? And here's the thing. Here's the point, right? Okay. Hold up. Shout out to you, Zoya. Lady Omega, you're a real one. Yo, let's go here. This is the Feeding America, right? Y'all know Feeding America. And it says, what is food insecurity? Let's go here. It says food insecurity as defined a lack of consistent access to enough food for every person in a household to live an active, healthy life. This can be a temporary situation for a household or can last a long time. Food insecurity is one way we can measure how many people cannot afford food. According to the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, more than 34 million people, including 9 million children, experience food insecurity in the United States. What causes food insecurity? Unfortunately, many people in America struggle to meet the basic needs, which increases their risk of food insecurity. Layoffs at work. By the way, right here, what is the Fed trying to do? They're trying to increase interest rates so that more mass layoffs will actually happen, so that they can decrease inflation. Guess what? Hunger is going to be on the rise very soon. So layoffs at work, unexpected car maintenance, right? Or an accident on the job can suddenly force family to choose between buying food and paying bills. Hell, look, even how many of you had to stay home from work with having a sick kid and you guys don't have sick days? You guys don't have PTO. A lot of places don't offer PTO. Or if they do offer PTO, it's like after like 1 year of employment. So if you're before that year, and guess what? If you have to take that day off, guess what? You just don't get paid, which means you may be short on your rent, or you may be short on food, on prices, buying food. And it breaks it down. It says the causes of food insecurity are complex. Some of the causes of food insecurity include poverty, unemployment, or low income. By the way, when was the last time we actually increased the federal minimum wage in this country? It's been over 13 years. TLDR, 13 years, right? It's still $7.25 an hour. It hasn't went up yet. Lack of affordable housing. Affordable is subjective. I think we should have housing for all. But how many people have been talking about the rise of rent rates in this country? Not only that, but isn't it BlackRock that's been buying up houses and creating a nation of renters and then increasing rents beyond the ability for us to pay, so much so to the point where a lot of us are now either going houseless or we are having to live, and double up as families. The next one is chronic health conditions or lack of access to health care. Somebody with a chronic health condition is talking to you right now. Me, yes. Guess what? I get food stamps. How much did I get? Oh, $24. $24, you must be raking it in, huh? Yeah, right. But guess what? That's what happens. That's also food insecurity and systemic racism and racial discrimination. Look at how many poor neighborhoods, especially poor neighborhoods, black and brown neighborhoods, are considered food deserts. By the way, just because you have a corner store that got all that processed food doesn't mean that it's actual access to true, good, and healthy food for people in that area. It is still a food desert. Little Debbie cakes ain't going to be good enough for me and mine in order to live and thrive properly. I don't care if they're full of chips and crackers and bottles of 40-ounce Old English. That is not a source of actual good and healthy food for us in the hood. And yes, that also contributes to it. Now, that is what it is. Interestingly enough, this goes into what are the effects of food insecurity. All right, kids. It says food insecurity can have a wide impact depending on the individual circumstances. Some of the most common yet complex food insecurity include serious health complications, especially when facing hunger, are forced to choose between spending money on food and medicine or medical care. Maybe if we actually had a single payer or a nationalized healthcare system in this country, then that would take that barrier away. Damage to a child's ability to learn and grow. How many people are have kids that can't afford to, school lunches, and now they're trying to cancel these school lunches for kids, universal school lunches. So now kids will have to once again go hungry at school, and they won't be able to learn and grow the way they need to. Have you ever tried to learn something while hungry? Kind of hard to do. Difficult decisions, such as choosing between paying for food and heat, electricity, rent, and transportation. How many of us had to do that? There once was a young man named JB, and that young man, a few times in his life, in his young adult life, have had to say to myself, Self, I have to pay the rent, but I don't have enough food to eat. Well, at least I still have a place to live. I'd rather ask for food than ask for money. Because asking for money, people are more likely to say no. But if you ask for food, will be more willing to give to you. And so I've had to make that choice because guess what? I didn't have enough money to eat. And the money that I did have, I had to go to rent instead. So yes, I know how it's like. And no, that choice was not that long ago. That choice still kind of happens today. Continuing, it says, how can we end food insecurity? Part of what makes food insecurity so difficult is to solve is the underlying causes. What are the underlying causes? Poverty, unemployment, underemployment, and inconsistent access to enough healthy food are often deeply interconnected. Why? 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 See, this is the part that Feeding America won't tell you. If providing all these basic necessities and shirking the profit motive and providing these basic needs, if you shirk the profit motive, guess what? These oligarchs and billionaires won't make as much money. Like for instance, if everybody had clean drinking water, truly clean drinking water, and didn't have to worry about it, then companies like Nestle, you know, would go out of business. You know how many companies are dependent on us being in poverty, underemployed, and having inconsistent access to healthy food? Why in the hell does PepsiCo, which owns Frito-Lay, why do they have more coverage of people to get their food than, say, farms, more local farms? Why in the hell do I have more access to a bag of Doritos than I do to a bag of spinach? Could it be capitalism? Oh, but Feeding America won't tell you that. They won't. So that's the thing. That's something that they won't tell you. And I'm going to tell you right now. And a lot of people are going to go, but what can we do? And the thing is that a lot of times what we're doing is, number one, is the education work that a lot of us are trying to do, especially here online. And although in our conversations with people on a daily basis, articles are being written, political education is being done. On my channel, I'm reading Asada Shakur. I just finished reading Blood in My Eye by George Jackson. I'm continuing to reading The Dirty Truths by Michael Parenti. And we're actually learning that we actually have more power and that we can actually wield this power as a people so that we can actually have more better material benefits for ourselves. So that's part of it, and also educating ourselves in that. And then by doing so, then it will activate us into pushing and recreating the government anew so that we are actually able to provide for ourselves. Thus, by doing so, we actually get rid of the profit motive, and then we actually start providing for everyone in this nation. And when the proletariat actually governs this nation the way it should be, then guess what? Then that means that the military bases across the world and the forcing of U.S. hegemony or Western hegemony actually ends, thus meaning that the food prices will actually be reasonable. And then on top of that, we can actually start helping these countries in the global south to actually be more, interdependent. And then they can actually start doing better for themselves. And so then they don't need us. They can depend on their own selves in order to create something better. Then they can actually start having thriving economies and thriving people. The only people that are going to suffer is the oligarchs, because they are going to be just like everybody else. So that's what the goal is. But it has to start here at home. This is why the education and work of learning, like I'm constantly learning myself, we do every single day. So keep talking, keep educating, share this video, share RBN, share, many people on independent media who are constantly talking about what the corporate media doesn't want you to know, or they don't let you know, or what the algorithms, hold back. Have you subscribed yet? Now, to the primary. Oh, wait, let me go to the chat really quick before I move on. I want to do that because yep, that's it. Antitrust laws. Eagle Wing Turtle says, we have a huge Feeding America outpost near me. They do a lot of good to feed a lot of people around Milwaukee County, but they aren't working to put themselves out of business. Have you guys heard of the nonprofit industrial complex? They make they make money off of the suffering of people, and as long as people continue to keep suffering, then they continue to keep making money. Here's to all the Susan G. Komen breast cancer foundations and all those other cancer foundations out there. Cancer research? What is that? Even though there's a cancer vaccine that's been developed in Cuba, and they don't even want people to know about that here in the United States. But that would be, they can't do that, because if you cure, then all the money's gone. Mm, 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 mm. Shall we talk? Can we talk? Read that in Angela Davis class, 1984. Nice. Okay, cool. Black Shirts and Reds by Parenti. In fact, I actually listened to the entire book being read by Robert Durden on his channel, Political Fight Club. So I actually, technically read it through Robert Durden on his channel. So if you guys want to hear it like I do reading on my channel, go subscribe to Robert Durden on Political Fight Club. He actually read Black Shirts and Reds. I actually want to get the book myself so I can read it over again, but it's actually a really good book, and it actually goes into the history about fascism and socialism. So it's actually really good. Sean Miller said Dr. Pepper is life's juice. Little known fact, I can't have Dr. Pepper being a dialysis patient because it's full of phosphorus. And so that's one thing I can't have. It's actually considered also one of the most unhealthy drinks you can have, that and Mountain Dew. In fact, Mountain Dew is actually illegal to sell in some countries because of the ingredients in Mountain Dew, as well as stovetop stuffing. I think stovetop stuffing is also illegal, or you cannot sell it in certain countries in Europe because of some of the ingredients that are in it. Capitalism, though, right? Rick Solis says charity should be abolished and replaced by justice. Dr. Norman Bethune. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm sorry, bad cookies. As unhealthy as it is, I'm sorry. But Dr. Pepper was my shit. I'm sorry. That was my joint. When I used to drink it, that was my joint. And it's like once a year I have to have a sip of it. I'm sorry. It's just the unique flavor. Oh, gosh. Also, I was a Coke drinker, not a Pepsi drinker. Pepsi was just like Coke actually had flavor. Sorry, especially when it's freezing cold and that fizz hits you right here. Oh man, oh Lord, Lord. Mm-mm-mm-mm. But I'm on smoothies now. I'm on drinking tea and having smoothies with like spinach and mangoes and bananas and all that stuff. That's what I'm on right now. But trust and believe me. Whoo, boy. Gene says nearly 40% of all food in America is wasted. Food goes into waste at every stage of food production and distribution, from farmers to packers and shippers, from manufacturers to retailers to our homes. That is true. Uh, she is the godmother of Tupac Shakur. Yep. So yeah, the fool believes himself a wise man. The wise man knows himself to be a fool. That's damn. That's bars right there. All right. Alex says there is a lot of learning and a lot of the slow and difficult process of organizing that goes into a socialist revolution. That is true, Alex. It's not going to be a quick and fast process. Even though I need it to be, even though people like me need it to be, because we're literally dying out here. Unfortunately, because of the bashing and the dismantling of the proletariat that the oligarchs have done over the last 60, 70, 80 years, because they were spooked, you know, by the socialist and communist parties. in the past, that has to be regained, and we're regaining it day by day. And so, but you're absolutely correct on this one. And I think this is something that we have to come to terms with. But we still have to just continuously produce a strong educational program and continue to keep learning. This is why, subscribing to RBN is good. MCSC Network is great for that. Midwestern Marks is also a great. Going to Black Agenda Report, The Left Lens with Danny Haifong, Breakthrough News with Ronnie Akalik. Going to Richie Medhurst is also really great. Going to the Gray Zone and learning from them and seeing what is truly going on around the world, what the corporate media won't tell you, or they won't go according to the U.S. State Department narrative. What they're saying to you, they'll actually show you what's underneath. That is very important. So yeah, Dr. Luna Oy, and learn from people like her. So many people, outside of this corporate bubble is important for that. So I encourage you all to continue to keep learning and keep growing. Some of you guys have been in this fight for a long ass time. My heart and my salute to all of you for who have been in this fight for a long time, and my heart to all of you as well who are Rome. Why is Rome calling me? Rome, if look, anyway, but to all of you who are new in this fight, welcome. We got to keep going. Anywho, so Fresca was under the weather 30 years ago. Oh, I can get down with some Fresca too back in the day. Oh, hell, yeah. All right. But let's. Oh, sorry, I thought I saw something. Okay. So let's go to the next story. Wait, let me check Rockfin really quick. Rockfin, come out and play. Hang on. Where's a couple bottles to clink together when you need it? Rockfin, come out and play. Oh, let me see. All right. Let's. Roxanne, don't run the red light. Okay. Choir Boy says, why are they posting Fox? Seems like there's a lot of likely subjects to protest. Just saying. Right, socialism does not designate a form of governance, common misconception, and no, socialism makes more dummies. There was no transition to What? What are you talking about, Choir Boy? Okay. All right. So I remember, look, trust and believe. I am older than I look. Do not let this vibrant chocolatey appearance fool you. I remember Crystal Pepsi. Pepperidge Farm remembers. All right. Let me stop being silly. Hey, bad cookies. Wait, hang on. Before I go on, look. Hey, remember, going to like the big box stores with those 3-liter bottles of I'm sorry, not Pepsi. Those 3-liter bottles of soda, the cheap old bottles. They're 3 liters, and they would have them in cola. They would have it in root beer, and they have it in fruit punch. I love the fruit punch. They have the big old 3-liter bottles, right? That's when you couldn't afford the name brands, and you go up and get those. Remember that? Yup. All right, so let's go to one of the primary stories that I actually want to cover. So Roger. Roger says, Bartels and James, we thank you for your support. Yep, Bartels and James. Mad Dog 2020, MD 2020, OE. Yep, I remember that. Yep. All right. Let's go to this whole socialism thing. This whole socialism thing. Has socialism peaked? Has it? Let's go, people. Okay. So let's get this up. And by the way, shout out to Case Study. If you guys have not subscribed to Case Study and started following him, follow my homie Case Study. Because Case Study been doing the damn thing for too long. To the point where he's already a veteran in my book. So we're going to go to Stuart Varney, the pompous ass on Fox News, on Fox Business. And he's going to talk to someone about, has socialism peaked? I'm rich, and I'm going to tell you that socialism has peaked from my ivory tower. Let us go.
The Squad members all easily won their re-elections this week, and it looks like that group is growing. Several young progressives were just voted into office, like Greg Casar, Texas, Maxwell Frost, Florida, Summer Lee, Pennsylvania, Delia Ramirez in Illinois, Rob Smith's with us. What do you think about this? Socialism, its voice, gaining strength in the House of Representatives.
Well, this is what I think, Stuart. I think that obviously, there's more young socialists that are getting into the House of Representatives, but I think that socialism has peaked. I think that that entire far left movement has really peaked. And so look at what's going on right now. And the interesting thing about watching Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez over the last couple of years is seeing how thoroughly she's been both absorbed into the swamp and neutralized by the more traditional elements of the Democrat Party.
I find it funny that he just said that, and he's like, oh, she's a socialist. Oh, gosh, these people, are you kidding me right now? Bruh, have you picked up a book? Have you actually been looking? Listen, bruh, have you actually been looking? If you're sitting there calling AOC a socialist, are you for real, bruh? You're sitting there calling her a I barely peg her as a social democrat. Ask her if she wants workers to own the means of production and distribution and wants to get rid of the profit motive across the board and nationalize some important strategic industries so that we can, actually have a more efficient central planning within our government. Ask her if she wants to close all 800 military bases across the world and stop the pushing of U.S. hegemony across the world. She'd probably say no. Ask her about how she feels about Palestinians, about the state of Israel. AOC? Wait. My brother in Thor. You're calling her a socialist? Really? And people be like, oh, well, she considers herself a socialist. Well, she's wrong. That's right. I said it. She's wrong. She's not. Is Bernie a socialist? No, he's not. And then it'll be like, oh, democratic socialists. They're not even that left. Shall we continue? Let's continue. Good Lord. Anywho.
And so all of these squad members got reelected in deep blue districts. These are not competitive districts at all. These people will continue to be reelected. And by the way, if anybody's watching, we need to stop dumping millions of dollars into candidates that are running against these people in these districts. It's unwinnable. There's more money to be spent elsewhere. So I don't think that these young socialists or these young far left progressives that are going into Congress are going to really do much because socialism has peaked. We saw what happens when you defund the police. We saw what happens when you...
Wait. Where have they defunded the police? Hold up. Where have they defunded the police? Citations needed, brother. Where have they did it? I'm waiting, because what did Biden say? He said he's going to fund the police. I smell bullshit. Don't you? Yeah. No. Let's bring it back a few seconds. Let's go.
Socialism has peaked. We saw what happens when you defund the police. We saw what happens when you give the money for the COVID relief and all of that other stuff. So it just doesn't work. And the last point I'm going to make is that AOC was allowed to get into power when times are relatively good economically for America.
For who? Wait. For who? For who? Wait. Hold on. Let's go. Let's run it back. Run that thing back, man. Run that thing back, okay?
Allowed to get into power when times are relatively good economically for Americans, right?
Wrong. For who? Because last time I checked, we've been catching hell for for decades. So you're talking about, well, she got into power. No. The Democrats were asleep at the wheel, right? And she slipped through because they weren't expecting her, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. They weren't expecting them. AOC was a fluke. She wasn't supposed to get in. But then when she got in, they absorbed her into the Democratic Party and she drifted away. Actually, there's a debate whether she actually drifted away or was she actually just hiding her actual true intentions, which that could be argued. But I digress. So therefore, now she's full Democrat. That being said, how was it? Because think about what she ran on. She ran on things like Medicare for all, abolish ICE, things like that. That means that people were suffering, and she spoke to a need at the time that people wanted. So if that was the case, then wouldn't it mean that we weren't doing very well? We were suffering. Now, she fooled a lot of people, but it wasn't because, everything was good. If everything was good, then she would have never got elected, because it's like, why do we need you? Everything's good. Come on, bro. Here's the thing. This guy is on Fox News and making tons of money from giving this commentary. And here I am, just some poor schlub on the internet, and I'm able to break his shit down. And I'm not even that smart. Get somebody like Nick or Savvy on this, and they would dismantle him like, whoa. Hey, remember that song? Like, whoa. Anyway, let's continue. Let's finish.
So they can have those silly little conversations. Times are bad for a lot of Americans economically. So I don't know that that socialist message flies when people are worried. And even Generation Z is worried about how they're going to eat, how they're going to put gas in their car, the same stuff the rest of us worried about.
Which is exactly why a lot of people who are Gen Z are now turning to socialism, because the profit motive has actually stolen more wealth from people so that they don't have a place to live and they don't have food to eat or and a place to sleep. This is why we are turning towards socialism. Thank God, because capitalism has proven that socialism is the correct course to go, because it's been proven because of the failures of capitalism. If capitalism's so good, then why is hunger on the rise? If capitalism's so good, then why hasn't it solved the homeless crisis? If capitalism is so good, then why do people literally have to go into the streets in order to get more wages? Please, for the class. And now it's time for the clown to respond.
Socialism has peaked. Oh, I love the sound
It
of
really
that.
has.
Of course you do, Stuart. Of course you do. Oh, I'm a capitalist and I think that socialism has peaked and it will never go any further. Oh, Stuart. Oh, Stuart. Oh, you ripping chap. The smell of my own thoughts. Anyway, has socialism peaked? What do you guys think? Has it peaked? Because here's the question, right? As we continuously see austerity being pushed into our direction, as we continuously see how, we have more of a nation of renters, right? Gen Z, a lot of us millennials, hell, we checked out of actually ever owning a home because we, number one, we have shit tons of student loan debt. And then a lot of us millennials aren't even having kids because we can't afford it. So we are invested, we are invested heavily in big birth control pill and big condom. Look, we are heavily invested in contraception. Some of us are gay, so um, so that's also true. So we ain't having kids, but we're not having kids because we're like, in this economy, hell no, we ain't having. Some of us just don't have it. This is also why the birth rate is also declining too, because we just look, we're not having kids. You know what I'm saying? But thing is that if you think we're bad, Gen Z is like, yep, time to end capitalism. And Gen Z is now becoming more like, yo, nah, this shit ain't working. You say socialism to some boomers. I'm not gonna say all boomers because some boomers are like, yeah, because they actually know what it means and they're actually been fighting for it for a while. And we love those boomers. Those boomers, mwah, love you. But some boomers, you say socialism like, oh my god, like Russia, like Venezuela. Then you say socialism to a millennial or Gen X, they'll be like, oh, well, I need to research it because socialism, I mean, I'm a little scared, but let me look into it a little bit more. Say socialism to a millennial. What is that? Oh, okay. That sounds pretty cool. All right, let's go. Say socialism to a Gen Z. Let's do it. So that's the thing that I think is, I don't think that it's on the decline or has peaked. I honestly think it's just begun. Scam likely. Get off my phone. So let's go to the chat really quick. Colin says, solidarity from Albany, New York. Sanders and the squad's version of U.S. socialism is over, thankfully. Yeah, that's not socialism. Yeah, definitely. Goth says, I can barely afford to feed myself. What are kids? Kids, what is that? Of course. Aaron Anderson says that capitalism is so good, then why do capitalists call the police when you ask for better wages? Help! They want better wage. They want more money. Help! Here's Jay-Z. Help! They're calling me exactly what I am, a capitalist. Help me. Hove. They're calling me a capitalist. Come on now. Oh, gosh. Relaxing says the kids will fix this eventually. Oh, God. I have so much faith in them. I really do. We just got to keep talking to them. So, PNYC says when organisms are deprived of food, their reproductive drive goes to sleep. It is the basis for anti-aging research in caloric restrictive diets. Interesting. Oh, come in with the science, PNYC. Come through. Thank you. All right. Bad Cookie says anyone who is a millennial or younger should start fighting to triple the funding of Social Security. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God. Oh, mwah! Forehead kisses to you, Bad Cookies. Why? In fact, I'll go even further. It should be quintupled, not quadruple, quintupled. The reason why is because, number one, Social Security is wholly inadequate right now. Talk to anybody that's disabled. They're pretty much living in poverty. Unless they're living with somebody that actually makes good money, people who are disabled are living in poverty. We're constantly forgotten. And then elderly people who only means of income is Social Security, or maybe just a little bit of retirement or pension, they're also living in poverty. So yeah. And this whole I think it was 1.8%, something like that Joe Biden did for Social Security recipients for the cost of living increase that we're supposed to be getting on January 1st. That ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. Bruh, if you really wanted to help the elderly and the disabled, quintuple Social Security. Even if you're not looking at it from an MMT, a modern monetary theory aspect, if you just want to focus on raising taxes, you can lift the cap off of Social Security for the super rich, because I think it's peaked at $144,000 is taxed up to. If you just lift the cap off of that and then start taxing Social Security according to on people's wealth, especially people who make over $1 million. And let's say you do a 10% Social Security tax on wealth on people who make over $1 million, which I honestly would do, over assets over $1 million, then yeah, I would start doing something like that. If you wanted to do something like that, you know how much more funding you can start doing for Social Security? What? You could definitely do it. But they don't want to, because they want us to roll over and die. But thank you, Bad Cookies. That was great. Robert Robertson says capitalism created the hellscape we're in, and these fools are saying capitalism is the solution. Look, like Jennifer Lewis said, we've been sitting in shit for too long, you stop smelling it. Now get up on out of there. Capitalism is the shit we've been sitting in for too long. Now we stop smelling it. And now we don't smell it at all. Though some of us now do smell it, and some of us are like, yeah, we need to get out of this. All right. Pachico Roni, good to see you. Capitalism has peaked. That's a good That's a good point. Now answer this question? Answer Pachico Roni. Did capitalism peak? I'd argue that capitalism has actually what peaked. I think that's an even better argument. What do you guys think? Johnny LaRose, good to see you, says, and the benefits eligibility. I can't talk today. And the benefits eligibility caps are so antiquated, and with these inflation rises, they take us off benefits. Sick. Federal poverty rate is from 1971. Yeah. Oh yeah. The poverty line, all that is so antiquated. It needs to be severely updated. I argue that anybody who makes below $55,000 a year is actually below the actual poverty line. People are gonna look at me crazy, like below 55,000. Yes. Anybody who makes below like $25 an hour, I think you're living below the poverty line. I think if you need some assistance whatsoever with food, clothing, shelter, utilities, things like that, if you need some type of assistance for that, if you cannot afford an actual 1-bedroom apartment as a single person, I honestly think that you are literally living in poverty. It's just we have downgraded what living in poverty means. And it's like, yeah, no, you are because you can't even have an apartment to yourself, let alone a house. Remember back in the day when you can actually take care of a whole family of 4 and own a home and a car on one salary. Now we've actually lowered the bar to, oh, well, as long as you can afford to have roommates, then you should be okay. No. Heck out of here. Tracy says if minimum wage kept up with worker productivity, it would be $24 an hour. Yeah. That's why I said what I said. Thank you. All right. So I honestly do think, though, that capitalism is at its peak. We're in the late stages of it, and it's about to implode on itself. But as described by people like George Jackson and Michael Parenti, it's kind of like how, as you see capitalism go down, you have to beat it down as well. I hate to use such, violent language, but it's like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like it's like a vicious animal that just won't die, and then it's on its last leg, and it's continuously trying to get at you, trying to bite you. So you kind of have to not just you can't just cut the head off. You have to smash its skull. That viper called capitalism, You can cut the head off all you want, but you have to smash the skull in too. And the thing is that that's what has to be done, because you can't leave any vestige of it. That's just like when a doctor goes in to take out a tumor. You can't leave any vestige of that cancer at all. Like, even when they take the tumor out, then they have to give you chemotherapy or radiation therapy in order to take out the rest of the cancer if they didn't get it all, so that you can continuously go into remission so you can get rid of it. Same thing with capitalism. We actually are in the process of taking that scalpel and removing it. And the thing is that on top of that, we also need to, you know, also do that type of therapy, so that we also put the earth into a remission, so that we can actually get ourselves back on the upward swing, on the mend. So that's what has to happen. So yeah. I read this, Tracy. I read something about this. It says studies show that a salary of $90,000 is peak happiness level. Less and you are struggling, and more brings on all sorts of stressful issues. Yeah, I read something about this, because you're actually at a point right now where you make enough that you're not struggling at all, right? But at the same time, you're not making so much that you're worried about people taking it. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, it's like a sweet spot, right? And truth be told, I honestly think that we should be working to make sure there's a floor for everybody to have a decent standard of living. See, here's the problem with a lot of capitalists think. A lot of capitalists tend to think that if you establish socialism and or communism, then that means that everybody has to be poor. Why does everybody have to be poor? Why? Couldn't just everybody have a decent standard of living, so that everybody is at a zone where you would consider everyone to be, you know, at a very well kept standard of living? I mean, it would induce a class of society, but even still, a class of society, if you were to measure it against the class societies that we have in a capitalist structure, then, within a communist society that a lot of communists want, then really everybody would be in a communist society measured at upper middle class. What's wrong with everybody having that? What's wrong with everybody having, great healthcare, great, great education, great food, and then on top of that, everyone has, you know, a say over their productivity. But you can't do that, because some people are better than others, when actually that's not true. And they count on people being lazy, but the thing is that people aren't lazy. They actually, no, I take that back. The oligarchs are lazy, because they make their money off of other people's labor. Thank you for the super sticker, Susan. Thank you so very much. And thank you for the super chat, Roger. Says DM, look at California, New York, Massachusetts, more expensive, NYC, San Fran. Okay. Let me go there really quick, because I'm not on Twitter. Okay. Whoa. Okay. I think I've seen this before, Roger. I think I've shown this before, but oh yeah, 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 yeah. I've seen this. Um, this is also really good. Yep, I've shown this before, and I know Sabby showed this before as well. Um, this shows what you need to make per hour in order to live. I think it's in a 2-bedroom apartment. Is that right, Roger? Is that right, Roger? Okay. So this is a map. So it shows where you need to, like for instance, in Connecticut, you need to make $27.80 per hour in order to live comfortably in Connecticut. In Florida, my state where I live, you need to make $26.38 per hour in order to live in a one. I think it's a one. I think it's a 2-bedroom. No, 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 probably 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom. Um, Vermont is $23.40. In California, you need to make $39.01. In New York, you need to make $37.72. Washington, $31.33. So the darker blues are the more expensive states. The lighter blues that you go, then you go to the cheaper states. In Alabama, you only need to make $16.32 an hour in order to live closer to something that's more comfortable. In West Virginia, you only need to make $15.38. So if you're making $15 an hour in West Virginia, you're good. But if you're making $15 an hour in Florida, you're screwed. So basically, yeah. This is also actually. Let me. Hang on. Let me see something. Able to bring up the report. It shows city. Oh, hang on. This is the report though. Hold on. This is a lot to go through. Oh, wait. I know this is a website too that I've seen. It's most expensive jurisdictions. States ranked by 2-bedroom housing wage. So Hawaii is actually the most expensive. So you need to make $40.63 an hour in order to for a 2-bedroom in the United States. California is number 2, Massachusetts number 3, New York is number 4, Washington is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Where's number 5? Is this a typo? There's no number 5. Did I catch a typo? I think so. Oh, number 5 is District in Columbia right here. Okay, never mind. That's put under other. Oh Lord, geez Louise. Okay. Yeah, this is actually a really good resource, Roger. I think I should download this into my yeah, number 5 redacted. So yeah, Roger. Roger, may I share this into can I share this in the chat? This is actually. Oh, and by the way, on Rockfin, Milburn Stone says socialism is no cure for human nature. Here's the thing: if you want to talk about human nature, if we are going to talk about it, then let's talk about it. So, Why, if we know that humans are apparently inherently selfish and greedy, then why would we continuously allow a system in place that exacerbates the greed and selfishness that's inherent in humans, instead of putting in a system that actually stifles greed and selfishness and encourages a system that is more egalitarian for us all? If we know that that's human nature, then why will we continuously keep capitalism in place? So that's the thing. That's my question. If capitalism is so good, then why are we keeping it in place if we know that it exacerbates the greed and selfishness that's inherent within human beings? But I mean, that's just my question. Um, oh, keep scrolling until it gets to the state he has his own page. Okay. All right. All right. This is a. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I know what you're talking about. Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. Um. Let me go to Florida. I want to see about Florida. Okay. Ooh. I think I'm in Florida now. Let's take a look here really quick. Okay. All right. Let me share really quick because I'm not going to be spending too much time because I got to get going in a little bit. But because I'm not sure if anybody else is going to be doing any streams on here as well. But this is Florida. It says in Florida, the fair market rent for a two-bedroom apartment is $1,372. At the time of this being created, I would argue that it actually probably went up. In order to afford this level of rent and utilities without paying more than 30% of income on housing, a household must earn 4,572 monthly or 54,870 annually. Assuming a 40-hour work week, 52 weeks per year, this level of income translates to an hourly housing wage of $26.38 per hour, state housing wage. Um, let's go here. Florida at present has a $10 minimum wage. Average renter wage is $20.55. That's definitely not a lot of us. Two-bedroom housing wage is $26.38. Number of renter households over 2 million. Percentage of renters is 34%. Um, you need to work 106 hours per week in order to afford the minimum wage. A two-bedroom. For a one-bedroom, you have to work 86 hours. You need 2.6 full-time jobs in order to afford a two-bedroom rent. Wow. And as far as county, the most expensive are Monroe County, Miami Beach, Naples, West Palm, and Fort Lauderdale. Well, of course, yeah, those are super expensive. And those are the areas where I actually went towards Ron DeSantis last week for the midterms, for the gubernatorial race. So yeah, this is actually really good. I am running short on time though, so I hope you understand, Roger. But oh, hang on, just one second. All right. Let's do this. I got you, Roger. I got you. All right. So California, $39.01. Says most expensive areas are San Francisco. Well, that damn $61.50. Golly. You have to make that much just to afford a 2-bedroom? Santa Cruz, Watsonville, San Jose, Sunnyvale, let me see, Santa Maria, Santa Barbara, Santa Ana, Anaheim. Wow, that's ridiculous, dude. That is wild, bro. Massachusetts, you see Boston, Cambridge, Nantucket, and Dukes. Wow, man. That's crazy how much you have to afford. Hang on. Wait. And then New York. It's New York and then Nassau. Whoa, that's a lot, man. This is crazy. 114 hours per week you have to work. Oh man. Why is this? Yeah, yep, Cali, definitely not my song. Woo! That is crazy. All right. And let's and then you said check Rockfin. All right. Okay. And I just want to answer this on Rockfin really quick. Let me see. Shelly says, my view is I don't mind people receiving assistance and stuff. I just don't like the system. It's demeaning. It keeps poor people poor. It doesn't allow for opportunity for people to grow. It's impersonal. I think that kind of help should be on a local level with people who understand you. I understand that. I think that we should have a floor, like for instance, housing for all, a nationalized healthcare system. People look at me weird when I say this, but I think we should have mass public transit, especially high-speed transit, free at the point of service. That is something that people will be like, "What the hell?" Yeah, free at the point of service, so that people have freedom of movement. That's actually what I believe in. And then on top of it, people having the right to, healthy food, clean drinking water, things like that. Once you actually have all that, everything else is just, you can have on a more individual basis, for assistance for people. But at the same time, when you do that, you can actually, people are able to do better for themselves when it comes to if they're a worker and if they're able to own the means of production, then they can, make the surplus off their labor. That's it, in regards to a socialist system. But I see exactly what you mean. But yeah, so I have to get going because number one, I'm hungry and I have to make dinner. But I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. I needed to, to talk about these things because a lot of times we don't talk about hunger, as much, and I think that's something that needs to be discussed as well. I tend to focus on housing because I know what it's like to be housing insecure, and I know what it's like to feel that, and it's something that it's been the bane of my existence ever since I was little. I know what it's like to be a kid and be housing insecure, but food insecure is also something I'm quite intimate with too. So, uh, yeah, I just wanted to bring to notice that the United States is pushed for, or is clamoring for, keeping a unipolar world, is actually driving more hunger and food insecurity across the world, which is counterproductive to what they say they're trying to do, trying to bring democracy. No, they're not. They're actually bringing more suffering. So, yeah. Anywho, have you guys subscribed? Have you guys liked the stream yet? Please make sure to like and subscribe to this stream. Also, I'll be doing the reading of 32's by Michael Parenti, as well as I'll be continuing the reading of Asada, an autobiography, on my channel as well. And while I'm at it, let me put in the link to my channel as well, so that you guys can subscribe. If you are not subscribed to my channel, I also have my channel as well, and I'll be live on Tuesday, of course, as always, on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when you guys when you guys come in. And if not, you're not there, then you can always catch me on the rewatch. So here is my channel as well. And we'll share this also into the Rock. I also have my channel on Rockfin too, guys. So if you guys are on Rockfin, you guys can just look it up. Yeah. Bill Burnstone says, go eat JB. We'll figure out someday. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, by the way. Good talk. Good talk. Anyway, so look, take care of each other. Be as kind. And by the way, before I go, be kind to people, especially in your words to others, because you never know what people are going through, right? Try to be kind to others. And don't insult people. It's just, it demeans the conversation, right? And so, try to be as kind to people and compassionate, because we're all being bogged down by this capitalist system. Anywho, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. And smoke them if you got them. And give your loved ones forehead kisses. You want one from me? All right. Mwah! Forehead kisses to every single one of you. Bye! I got greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes, rams, hogs, balls, chicken, turkeys. Yeah!